I wanted something better. So Buddy and I, we thought we'd go to Russellville and try to get us a job, and we went to Russellville, and while we was there at Russellville, we going down past the courthouse, and they had a sign out, "Uncle Sam needs you." That's what got us. We went in there, and of course I was only 17, and I had to get my dad to sign for me, but they fixed up the paperwork and everything. I went back and he signed the papers, got them notarized, and we went back and we checked into Russellville, and they sent us to Camp Chaffee, Fort Smith. And we spent a few days there, and they sent us on to Fort Ord, California. It was 8 weeks of pretty hard training, you know, and one thing that the old sergeant said to us all when we first got there, and he'd give us a little speech, and one thing he said, if you got any brains, take them back in there in the foot locker and lock them up, because from now on, I'm going to be telling you everything you do. So that was the start of basic training. In Fort Benning, I spent probably a year, I guess close to a year that I spent. And there, while I was there, they had an amphibious landing on the island of Vieques, and we had to go through that training. They got us together, and we went to Little Creek, Virginia, and we trained for about 2 weeks there, loaded on the ship, and we went to the island of Vieques, and we had an amphibious landing. Now that was quite interesting. You get on that ship and you crawl down those ropes, and as you're crawling down the ropes and get into that boat, and it would go out and rendezvous, and when it would rendezvous out in the water and get together, and then they'd make a line, and here they'd head for the beach. And so when we headed into the beach, I happened to be on one that wasn't a good driver. Some got all the way on the beach, and they could walk out on dry ground. The one that I was on, he hit it too low, and that gate fell down, and that water come in. We almost had to swim to get out. All through this little book, it was when I was on that maneuver, and really had this book. When I went to Korea, they took everything from us. We had a lot of personal stuff, and I guess it was 4 years later, this book was in that little box that I had, and it wasn't a little box. I got a letter stating it was in Kansas City, and they were going through things, and I'd be getting it. And I happened to live in Kansas City, and I thought, well, I'll go down there and get it. And I went down there, and that guy took me back there, and he said, "You see all of them boxes? You got a little box in there somewhere. So you're going to have to wait till we go through all of them, but it'll be mailed out to you." And that was some of my personal stuff, like they took, and it come back. So that little book had been through the mail. And I went through about 2 weeks of hardest training that I'd ever went through. We crawled under machine gun fire every morning, and as we crawled through, we had to keep our rifle clean, or we'd have to go back through. And these guys are setting up there. Of course, these guns you can't get it too low, but you couldn't stand up. They didn't want to, you couldn't get hit. And they'd have holes out there that have dynamite in, and they'd blow them up, and they'd throw dirt everywhere, And so we did that for 2 weeks, and then we got around and got on a troop train. Got on a train, and we was wondering where we was going. We never was told that we was going to Korea, but that's kind of where we thought we were going, and it sent us to San Francisco, and we got loaded on the ship, and we was out in the ocean, and captain got on the ship. He said, hear this now. He said, "You've been wondering where you're going. I'm going to assure you that this ship is not going back to San Francisco." I'm on the speaker, and they said, "This ship is going to dock in the morning in Busan, Korea." Now, when that ship docked in Busan, of course, we were assigned to the 1st Cavalry Division, the 3rd Battalion of the 1st Cavalry Division. And the North Koreans had got probably within 60 miles of Pusan, and we unloaded, and our first contact in battle was just a day after we had landed in Pusan, and we was in combat. And all of us, you know, we'd been trained a lot, and we thought we was a crack unit, but you know, when we got in combat, we found out we was a disorganized unit. They withdrew us and brought us back and reorganized, and some of our officers got relieved, some of our non-commissioned officers got relieved, you know, because of the way they were carrying out things. And went back, and I was a gunner on an 81mm mortar, and but they changed it around. The guy that was a forward observer for our platoon, he got sick. He said he got sick, but I think they relieved him. But they asked me would I volunteer to be the, you know, go up. And this is in combat now, and the lieutenant called me over to the tent, and he said, "Would you volunteer to go up and observe, be the forward observer?" I said, "I won't volunteer, but I'll do what you asked me to do." So he gave me a young guy that was Pennypacker was his name, and he's going to be my radio operator. Pennypacker is a very small individual, but he wanted to be a radio operator because on front line, you know, we didn't have to pull guard duty. And what happened, like the Koreans generally fought of a night, we fought of a day, you know, and we had a lot of air support that they didn't have, you know, and so we would fight of take hills. And so Pennypacker was my radio operator, and they'd run lines to me, telephone lines, because, you know, the radio, they were poor. They're static, and it's hard to get. But what we do of an evening, when we secure a hill, we would take and dig in for the night, you know, secure that hill. But I would register these targets out in the field, and I'd name the targets. Now, when the enemy, you know, when they approach and I'd know where they were at, all I had to do is ask them to fire on that particular target and ask them to fire for effect. And there was 4 guns in position, and they'd fire in effect, and that, you know, that's quite a barrage of mortar fire. But I was thinking one night, this sticks with me, and it's hard for me to even think about it, but we got on the hill, and we was out of water and everything, and you was thirsty, but we was digging in, and I would see with a line company, and some of them I didn't know too much because you wasn't, you know, they was different than my company. But all at once the mortar shell come in, and that thing, it hit this individual, and it hit him in the chest here. And the last words he said, "Oh Lord, help take me to heaven." Now I've dreamed about that, and I thought, but that guy, I run over to him, and man, his arms went to swelling, and you know, I took his watch, I took everything off of him, loosened him up, but he died right there, and that stuck with me a long time. So many young men, they were young, all of us were young, and they were being killed every day, and a lot of them was my friends, you know. And we had another accident that happened. I was at the gun position this time, and at the gun position it was raining, and you know, the powder and everything. And then, of course, we have a cap to put on that mortar to keep it from getting wet. But this guy, the lieutenant up there, I don't know why, he is a platoon leader, and he was wanting us to fire, you know, mortars, and it was pouring down rain, and we told him it's hard, and he kept on wanting mortar fire, so they was going to try to fire. and they're taking that one gun position, and there's no one, you know, far for a register going to register it in. And that thing, they dropped that mortar down in that, and it killed every one of them on that gun position. It come out, but it didn't go nowhere, you know, and it just busted right there and killed every one of them on the gun position. And see, and I knew them guys well, and that, boy, that hurts. That hurt hard, you know. And this is not just a one-day happening. It's happening all the time. Staying clean in combat, and it was essential that we did, you know. And like our boots, we had ski socks. We'd always wear this one set of ski socks, the other would be in our, you know, around our body, see. But if you didn't change those socks, your feet would, you know, freeze, and man, you'd have real problems. So that was, they just stressed that, but I've seen several guys that just let that go, and then they'd wake up with their feet froze the next morning. We was right on the road, got fired on a tank, started, you know, and that tank come out, and there's the enemy tank, so we dismounted, you know, and the trucks all stopped, all the vehicles stopped and everything. And that tank was coming, you know, it was rolling as an enemy tank, and they kept hollering, "Let him go, we got a surprise for him, let him go, let him go." And he did run over a Jeep or something, and he hit, but he's firing every time, you know, he's coming down through there, but we was all off of the vehicle. It was a vehicle that parked on the road. And that, he got down there, and they had a 105 Hallister set up, and they bore-sided him, you know. And when he got into that bore sight, they fired that thing, and it blowed that whole turn off that tank, you know. And there's about 10 of them, 10 tanks, you know. That was one. It just kind of got loose, and they was there, and some of the women was operating some of those tanks. The North Koreans were very cruel people, and we get a rush on them. Instead of them surrendering the prisoners back to us, they'd kill them. And they didn't kill them in a decent way. They'd leave them showing how bad they did, so it would be depressing to us, you know. When we'd find them, they'd be in terrible condition, you know, because they'd kill them, and it was a slow death for them. Different things they'd do to them, kill them young men. But that was the North Korean. But Chinese, I'd have to say, it was completely different. When we get a rush on the Chinese, they'd give our prisoners back. And many, we captured quite a few of our prisoners back from the Chinese, but never did we get a live soldier back from the North Koreans. A platoon sergeant, me and him was in the train together, and on the way over there, he said to, you know, on the train, he said, "Man, I wish I was like you." And I said, "Why? What do you wish you like me?" "You don't know what you and I are getting into, but I know. I was in World War II, and I know what we're getting into." And, you know, I was worrying him all the time, and he talked to me quite a bit about it. And we got in combat. The first day in combat, he shot himself in the leg. And many soldiers shot themselves in the leg and the foot. And seeing how civilians are treated in a war, you know, the civilian people, I felt for them. The Koreans, no food, no nothing, and little children. I mean, we're talking about little 8 and 10-year-old kids are running, no parent, or, you know, a parent had been killed or something. And so that was a sad situation. To me, I wanted to be set free from that thing, and I tried to put it out of my mind, and I probably talked more to you guys than I ever talked to anyone. I never try to talk about it too much because I try to put it behind me. War was not good for me, and it's not good for a lot of young men, but when I get to thinking about it, I think about the young people that got killed that didn't have a chance in life. And I seen a lot of them, and I had friends, you know, that I'd been an associate with, and it hurt, and it still bothers me. But I try to keep it out of my mind. I don't wanna ever think about telling a young person to go to war. I don't want to see that. We need to try to negotiate it out and not fight it out. It's not good. And as you see, it didn't accomplish a lot. North Korea is still having a battle. How are we going to accomplish it? But it's man that's brought a lot of pain on the other men. All in all, I had, the military has been good to me. I mean, since I've got that injury. I've got 100% disability with the VA, but I have to say that the VA has been the greatest, for me, as far as they've taken good care of me, and they check on me all the time, and I go in and get best of service. So I can't gripe about how I've been treated by the military or by the VA since I got out. I've been well taken care of. But I could say that my life for that 1 year was a very disturbing time for me, and I've thought back on it, and I guess the biggest thinking that I have is some of the ones that I knew so well and was so good a friend to didn't get to come home. And I think of them, and I think of them a lot. And I've had dreams about, terrible. But it was a bad life for me that year. And but I can't say, that I was mistreated. I was taken care of. I was fed well in the military, and they take care of their people. The U.S. is taking care of their people, and that's real good. And I'm so proud that they do that.